What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my brand new channel. My name is Desiree if you are new here. And what we're going to be discussing on this channel is purely Christian content with the overall theme of healing. Yes, healing. We are going to talk about the need for healing, emotional healing. Disclaimer, I am not, nor have I ever been, a licensed therapist, clinician, psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, social worker, none of that. I am just a woman who has been holding on to things for over 40 years and then had a significant crash out that caused a mental breakdown, which turned into the greatest blessing that I could have ever received in my life. And I want to share that with you. People always tell us we need to heal, but nobody can tell you to heal. You have to be ready to heal. And in this day and age, a lot of us need to heal. I'm not here to judge at all. You know who you are that need to heal. Y'all, I didn't want to do this. This is something that God told me to do because your healing is none of my business. It is none of my business. My healing is my business. Your healing is your business. But as God explained to me, our healing is his business. So if he needs to use somebody to get you to understand that at some point in time, you know you need to heal and you got to go through that healing process, he's going to use whomever he feels he can use. So that is me. In this video, I'm going to share with you my healing stack. This is a stack of resources that I have used, a stack of books that I have used on my healing journey. And I will share with you a couple other things that I do not have here, but I will just talk about them with you. These are books that I use on a yearly basis. I'm going to start with the ones that I go through on a yearly basis. There were one, two, three books in particular that I read on an annual basis in the month of December without fail, because these three books, technically four, these three books were major contributors my to me starting my healing journey back in 2021. One of those books, I'm going to put a picture up here. It is by Jennifer Arnese, called F That Cape. I know some of you may feel some type of way about her. Some of you may have never heard of her. But she was someone my therapist introduced me to as far as her work, talking about the Black Mother Wound. I know some of y'all listen to that and be like, oh, okay, you ain't got to, but that is something that I had to deal with. But her book, F That Cape, spoke volumes to me, because what she did in that book, she realized that she did not know what she liked. She didn't. And that let me know, wait a minute, Desiree, you've been living for everybody else for over 40 years. You don't even know what you like. You like this because somebody else liked it. So I had to start literally from scratch while I was in therapy. I had to start writing down my likes and dislikes, the food that I like, the colors that I like, the drinks, speaking of like pop and things of that sort that I like, my favorite colors, books that I like, what I like and didn't like about church, what I liked and didn't like about school, what I liked and didn't like about social media. I mean, literally basic stuff. I had to start down there. And then it went to family members that I like, tolerated, and didn't like. It went deep like that, y'all. It didn't go too deep originally when I first did it, but as I continued on every year, it will get deeper and deeper, and I began to learn myself more and more. So that's the first book, F That Cape. It's not, I think that book is like a less than 100 pages, okay? So it was F That Cape by Jennifer Arnese. Another book, of course, I should have started with this one first, but it's the Bible. Whenever I need to deal with Desiree, I pull out this Bible. This Bible here is a Tyndale New Living Translation, large print, red letter, thin line edition Bible. I got this Bible in 2018, and as you can see, I got all kind of sticky notes in here, flags here, paper here. I got post-it notes on the inside. These are some of my favorite anchor scriptures. My anchor scriptures, I prefer for them to be in King James, but because this is an NLT translation, I put them back here in NLT translation. Okay. So this Bible is at my bedside at all times, unless I need to carry it around the house because I'm dealing with myself, or I'm moving from room to room dealing with myself. I will take that Bible. The next book is this one right here. This is an absolute gold mine for me. Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, the updated edition by Peter Cesaro. I read the original edition that came out, I believe, 2011 and 2012. It had the iceberg on the front, but it was a different color. And what they ended up doing, what Peter Cesaro ended up doing, was taking one chapter that was in that book and splitting it up into two chapters in here. There are two areas within this book that I just adore because it spoke so many volumes. It spoke volumes to me. This one right here. This is the 10 Commandments of the family right here. Okay. Y'all see I've been going through this book. Okay. Different colors. If it's a highlighter or a pen, trust me, those were different years. I have read this book from cover to cover every year since 2018. The other part of this book that I like is the fact that it's right here. There's an exercise in here that identifies or lets you identify if you are an emotional infant, emotional child, emotional adolescent, and emotional adult. As you can see, I was an emotional adolescent for a long time. Again, I've been reading this book since 2017. It wasn't until November 12th, 2024, when I read this book that year, that I finally became an emotional adult. See, healing ain't easy. Healing is slow. Healing is a journey. Healing is a process. And I'm still on that process. But I read this book every single year. This right here is an absolute must for me. This right here is a must for me. I don't know about you, but it's a must for me. If you want to look into this, I believe they have videos on YouTube, Peter Cesaro, regarding this right here. And I believe they may have some on the next book I'm going to share with you. Now, this book is by his wife, Jerry Cesaro, The Emotionally Healthy Woman, 8 Things You Have to Quit to Change Your Life. I purchased this, I believe, in 2023, and I read it in 23. I purchased it in 24. I purchased it and read it in 24, read it in 25, and I will be reading it again at the end of this year of 2026. There are 8 chapters in this book, and 4 of the 8 that I had issues with, not as far as the content that was written in this book, but as far as me personally, is chapter 4, quit denying anger, sadness, and fear. I would never be honest about how I felt. Number 5, quit blaming. I will always blame myself. Number 6, quit overfunctioning. That was just who I was. And number 7, quit faulty thinking. That was also who I was. And that faulty thinking stemmed from my childhood, dealing with a lot of emotional trauma, or what they will call complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So this is a book that I do read every single year, along with Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. Another book that I read every year is Healing the Soul of a Woman, How to Overcome Your Emotional Wounds. Now, I'm not a big fan of Joyce Meyer, but I am a fan of this book, and I'm also a fan of the matching or the corresponding devotional. She does not have any exercises in this book, but I did pick up information out of this book that has helped me since I've been reading this. This is, I think I got this was copywritten in 2018. So I think I got this book in 2022, 2023, something like that. So those 3 books right there, these 3 books here, and one more is a part of my annual healing stack. Meaning I read these books every year at the same time, every single year, in between November, December. The next book of that stack is Cora Jakes Coleman, Ferocious Warrior, Dismantle Your Enemy and Rise. Now, I know some people feel some type of way about this family, but this book right here, baby, this book helped me so much. I mean, so much. I think almost every page I underline something. You're going to see different colors as I flip through these pages because that's how many times I read this book. Highlight, green and black. Uh, there was some red in here too. There's yellow and a lighter blue. Those are notes that I took from this book. There's a darker blue, there's some red, there's some more yellow. I was running out of ink. That's why it was so many different colors. Not only was I running out of ink, but I was reading this. I think I read this maybe 4 times. And every time I read it, I get more out of it. All of these sheets right here came from this book. This was from October 2024. I went through it again this past year, 2025, and I was able to pick up some more stuff. And I think I got it on the back of here, a couple of sheets from this year, or from last year, 2025. So these four books, along with my Bible, are my um these four books, along with my Bible, are my permanent healing. This is my permanent healing stack. I do have a couple other books that I may add to this stack. I'm going to share those with you. Lisa Turkhurst, Forgiving What You Can't Forget, Discover How to Move On, Make Peace with Painful Memories, and Create a Life That's Beautiful Again. I just finished this book about a week and a half ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. Another book by Lisa Turkhurst, I think it's her most recent one, is I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. Moving Forward When You're Skeptical of Others, Afraid of What God Will Allow, and Doubtful of Your Own Discernment. This is a book, I finished this book about a month ago. Um, and in between those two books, I read this book, Heart Rehab, Finding the You God Created You to Be, by Pastor Jerry Flowers Jr. This was another book that I thoroughly enjoyed. So these three books quite possibly could be part of my permanent healing stack that I just showed you, with the Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, Emotionally Healthy Woman, Healing the Soul of a Woman, Ferocious Warrior, and of course, my Deborah, my fighter, my Breakthrough Bible. So these are the things that I use. Of course, among other things that I use, obviously prayer. I have all kinds of types of conversations with God and conversations with other people that I can trust. Um, but I sit down, I go through these books, I read, I meditate, I journal to help me in my healing journey. And of course, I also pay attention to um my reactions to things and or my responses to things. I pay attention to when anxiety appears, because I have been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder as well as complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I was also diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder 4 years ago after having a traumatic fall. So I'm dealing with a lot, but I have overcome a lot as well. God is still working on me in certain areas of my life. This healing journey is not for the weak. It's not a quick turnaround. It is a process. It is a journey. I am 100% better than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. Trust me when I say that. I was ready for my healing at a time I didn't know that I was actually ready for my healing. And if you stick around, you will come across a video where I explain to you, or a few videos where I explain to you what started this healing journey for me. So, with that, if you want me to go in depth with any of these books, just comment down below, and I have no problem to go a little bit deeper with these books to show you, to share with you what I got out of it. With that, you all take care, and I will see you in another video. Bye.